fired from EMI, his own company bankrupt, and back to living with his parents at 30. It seemed like everything had collapsed. As a judge, Simon Cowell was labeled the villain of television, a man who crushed contestants' dreams with razor-sharp criticism. So how did a man once seen as a complete failure, a judge people love to hate, become the mastermind behind the X Factor and Got Talent, the powerhouse of psycho entertainment, and the force behind legends like One Direction and Leona Lewis? Simon Cowell not only redefined reality TV and the music industry, but also built a fortune, with multi-million-dollar homes from London to Malibu, and a jaw-dropping supercar collection. But what lies behind the glamour and flashing lights? Join us in uncovering the unbelievable journey from rock bottom to the pinnacle of global entertainment. London, 1959. In a small house where the cold wind seeped through the cracks, a baby's cry rang out. No one could have imagined that this was Simon Cowell, the man who would one day make the whole world take notice. But before becoming the king of entertainment, his life began at the very bottom, mired in poverty and doubt. Would he ever rise above it? In a modest home in Lambeth, that winter was bone-chillingly cold. At just 5 years old, Simon huddled near an old fireplace, listening to the sound of his mother, Julie Brett, mending torn clothes to save every penny, while his father, Eric, tapped away on a manual calculator, sweat dripping as he worked out whether they could pay the rent that month. Julie, whose hands once danced across the ballet stage, had put her dreams aside to care for the family. Eric, despite working tirelessly, would sigh at the mounting bills. He longed for a better life for his son, but that pressure quietly shifted onto young Simon's shoulders. The Cowell family's meals were shockingly modest. A bowl of hot soup was a luxury, and sometimes Simon had to split a slice of bread with his younger brother. No one talked about the hardship, but he could feel the worry in his mother's eyes, the tension in every breath his father took. At age 10, his father moved the family out of London, hoping the village of Elstree would offer a fresh start. But for Simon, it was no paradise. Their creaky wooden house groaned each night, making him feel trapped in a strange world, without friends, without joy. Every morning, Simon quietly slung his worn-out school bag over his shoulder and trudged down the dirt road to school, his heart heavy. At school, he felt out of place among children who had new clothes and delicious packed lunches, luxuries he could only dream of. On rainy afternoons, he'd sit by the fogged-up window, scribbling on the glass, wanting to scream at the world. But who would listen to a lonely child in the fields of Hertfordshire? Simon attended Radlett Preparatory School and later Dover College, but he hated school. At Radlett, he was punished for dozing off in class, his mind drifting to grand stages instead of dry arithmetic. He loved music, adored the songs on the radio, but the rigid education system dismissed that passion as nonsense. At Dover College, the stifling rules made him feel like he couldn't breathe. Once, when called to the board for a math problem, he stood frozen, gripping the chalk, his mind blank, while giggles echoed behind him and the teacher shook his head in disappointment. One night, his father slammed the table in frustration. "Simon, what are you going to do with your life? Without qualifications, you'll be nothing." Simon lowered his head but whispered to himself, "I'll prove you wrong." He didn't just fear failing his father, he feared himself. Feared that maybe he truly wasn't special, that his dream of the big stage was just a foolish fantasy. That fear haunted him every night, keeping him awake. One rainy evening, under the dim glow of a street lamp, water seeping through his worn-out shoes, he heard his father's words echo in his mind. But in that darkness, a fire sparked within him. I will become something great, even if the whole world turns its back on me. After leaving school with just GCE levels, Simon stood at a crossroads. No money, no clear direction, only an old backpack and the doubtful eyes of his parents. London's wind cut through him as he stepped onto the streets, delivering newspapers, waiting tables, sleeping on friends' sofas, surviving on cheap biscuits. But no matter how hard things got, Simon didn't break. Every coin he earned was a lesson in resilience. In that cold, he told himself, if no one gives me a chance, I'll create my own. And so, the journey from zero began. Through his father, he got a menial job at EMI, making tea, running errands. But instead of complaining, Simon watched and learned how producers discovered talent, sparking a bold idea. He didn't need to sing, he just needed to create stars. That humble job became his first glimpse of light. The boy who had once been laughed at now stood at a pivotal crossroads. From the ashes of hardship, an empire was about to rise. But how? After leaving school, Simon Cowell stepped into the real world with nothing but empty hands and a bag full of ambition. But like all grand dreams, his path was not lined with roses. With no qualifications and no connections, Simon had to start from scratch, and his first days in the music industry were some of the longest and harshest of his life. Thanks to his father's help, Simon landed a job at EMI Music Publishing, but it wasn't a dream position. He wasn't assigned any important tasks. He was simply a gopher, making tea, cleaning up, delivering mail. In the 1970s, the British music industry was a brutal battlefield. Only the strongest survived. For Simon, it was the world he yearned for, yet also a place where he was treated as invisible. There were rainy days when his worn-out shoes soaked through, and he dragged himself for miles across the gray streets of London, pockets empty, just hoping to reach EMI before nightfall. The towering buildings of the music world, where successful producers and artists gathered, felt like a different universe, distant and out of reach. Standing inside EMI's office, Simon didn't just see the gap between himself and success. He felt the cold disregard from those around him. In their eyes, he was just an ordinary employee, nothing more. But Simon refused to give in. He watched, listened, and learned from every hallway conversation, from the way producers worked to how a hit song was made. Gradually, he realized music wasn't just about art, it was a business. And if he couldn't be on stage, he would stand behind the spotlight, pulling the strings. After several years at EMI, Simon hoped for a promotion, for recognition. But the harsh truth set in. Opportunity doesn't come to those who merely wait. Feeling he had no future there, he decided to leave. Unwilling to remain an employee, Simon founded ENS Music, a bold move. But the dream quickly collapsed. Finances ran dry, deals failed, and he was trapped in failure. There were nights, alone in a dim rented room, staring at piles of unpaid bills, when he heard his father's voice echo in his head, "You'll never amount to anything." Simon asked himself, am I truly crazy for believing in this dream? The weight of failure was crushing. There were moments he wanted to give up, to return to a more stable job, but pride wouldn't let him. Simon knew he had to rise again. And just when it seemed everything had hit a dead end, another door opened. In 1983, Simon partnered with Ian Burton to establish Fanfare Records, a small label, but with big ambitions. This was his chance to prove himself, to truly enter the music world as a player in control. The early days at Fanfare were far from easy. Financial struggles continued. There were still long nights with Simon sitting at a worn-out wooden desk, a dim light casting shadows over crumpled contracts, ears perked as he listened to demo tapes on a cheap cassette player, searching for a glimmer of hope. Then came a real turning point in 1986, when Fanfare Records released So Macho by Sinita. The song quickly became a major hit, climbing the UK music charts and earning Simon his first significant profit. From a no-name young man, Simon started gaining attention. Fanfare Records began securing its place in the industry, and Simon had gained the most valuable thing of all, the belief that he could succeed. But this was just the beginning. Success is fragile, and the music industry is no place for the weak. Simon didn't yet know the many challenges ahead. But one thing was clear: he had crossed the line from obscurity. Simon Cowell's journey from zero to hero had officially begun. After his early successes, Simon Cowell realized that music wasn't just about short-lived hits. It was part of a much bigger game. He needed a long-term strategy not only to survive, but to rise to the top. This was the turning point when Simon transformed from an ambitious music producer to a powerful icon in the entertainment industry. Following his success with Fanfare Records, Simon joined BMG as an A&R consultant, a bold move. In this role, he had the chance to work with bigger artists and became more deeply involved in the production process and market direction. In 1995, Simon produced Robson and Jerome's cover of Unchained Melody. No one expected it to top the UK singles chart for 7 consecutive weeks and become one of the best-selling singles in UK history. It was a clear demonstration of Simon's sharp instinct for music selection and market appeal. From a nameless assistant running errands, Simon Cowell had now become someone capable of shifting the landscape of British music. But his ambitions didn't stop there. He didn't just want to make hits. He wanted to change the way the world viewed the entire industry. In 2001, Simon joined Pop Idol, a televised music talent show in the UK. No one could have predicted the phenomenon his presence would become. Unlike the polite and gentle judges, Simon was brutally honest. His remarks, sharp and at times harsh, captivated audiences. He wasn't just judging contestants, he became the centerpiece of the show. His signature line, "I don't mean to be rude," but became his personal brand. People either loved or hated Simon Cowell, but no one could ignore him. The success of Pop Idol opened the door to a much larger market, the United States. In 2002, he joined American Idol, the American version of the show. With his unchanged blunt style, Simon quickly became one of the most sought-after personalities. American Idol exploded in popularity, turning names like Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood into global superstars. And Simon Cowell, from a TV judge, became a cultural icon. But he wasn't done yet. Seeing the enormous potential of talent shows, Simon wanted more. a platform where he had full control. In 2004, Simon created the X Factor, a new format talent competition where he wasn't just a judge, he was the creator. The X Factor quickly became a global phenomenon, launching the careers of stars like Leona Lewis, One Direction, and Little Mix. And he didn't stop there. In 2006, Simon launched Got Talent, a talent show not limited to music, but open to dance, magic, and a wide range of other performing arts. Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent became some of the most watched shows in the world, generating millions of memorable moments and discovering extraordinary talents. Simon Cowell didn't just change how the world searches for talent, he created an entirely new culture. His shows weren't just entertaining, they inspired, turning unknown individuals into stars. From a young man once looked down on, once forced to walk miles in the rain because he couldn't afford the bus, Simon Cowell rose to the pinnacle of the entertainment industry. The shows he created didn't just succeed, they reshaped the market and redefined how music and talent are discovered. In 2004 and 2010, Simon was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. In 2018, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, an honor reserved for those with major contributions to the entertainment industry. As of now, Simon Cowell's net worth exceeds $600 million, making him one of the most powerful figures in the music and television industry. From a gopher to a failed entrepreneur to a media mogul, Simon Cowell's journey is living proof that no dream is unreachable if you have enough passion and determination. If there's one thing Simon Cowell is never shy to flaunt to the world, it's a wealth that goes beyond even the wildest dreams. With a net worth exceeding $600 million, he doesn't just live, he reigns over a kingdom of luxury that even other billionaires can only fantasize about. Multi-million-dollar properties, roaring supercars, lavish yachts, refined gentlemanly style. Simon turns them all into living masterpieces, unmatched by anyone. Real estate, palaces in the flesh. Simon Cowell doesn't own houses, he owns palaces, where each door opens to a fantasy world. First, there's his $20 million mansion in Holland Park, London, the golden land of British aristocracy. The home resembles an old castle, with wrought iron gates adorned in gold, stone walls draped in mossy age. Yet inside lies a modern universe, an indoor pool lined with glowing gemstones under Swarovski crystal lights, a red velvet-wrapped cinema with throne-like leather seats, and a gym stocked with equipment more expensive than a luxury car. Simon stands on the rooftop balcony, holding a glass of 50-year-old Petrus wine, looking down at the maze garden where he hosts lavish parties, champagne flowing like rivers, live orchestras playing Mozart, and A-list celebrities among the guests. Then comes his vacation villa in Barbados, worth tens of millions, a tropical paradise reserved solely for him. Picture Simon walking out of 5-meter-tall glass doors, bare feet touching powder-soft sand, the infinity pool merging seamlessly into the deep blue ocean reflecting a blazing sun. Interiors feature Brazilian rosewood, Italian silk curtains billowing in the sea breeze, and a 20-person staff at silent command, one mixing century-old rum cocktails, another preparing butter-roasted lobster. Here, Simon lounges on a fur-covered chaise, listening to waves crash, forgetting the gray, rainy days of London. In the U.S., his $24 million Malibu estate is the pinnacle of luxury. Perched atop a Pacific cliff, the house floats in the sky, 7 bedrooms with Italian silk smart beds, a spa with AI-powered heart rate massage tech, a rose-scented steam room infused with Damascus petals, and a walnut-paneled recording studio where billion-dollar hits are born. Imagine Simon sitting in a colossal living room, glass doors wide open to the sea, holding a premium Cuban cigar, Cartier sunglasses on, watching a fiery sunset that mirrors his own commanding power. Cars! Machines that rule the streets. Simon doesn't just drive. He commands a $10 million fleet of supercars, each one a deity of speed. The Bugatti Veyron, worth $2 million, is the king of his garage, body gleaming like black diamond, 1,200 horsepower engine roaring like thunder, blazing through European highways at 407 kilometers per hour. Simon dons Italian leather gloves, reflective sunglasses, laughing as ocean winds rush past, like the world itself lies beneath his wheels. The jet black Rolls-Royce Phantom is his moving throne, interiors hand-stitched in leather, dashboard plated in 18K gold, headlights glowing like full moons. He arrives at grand events in it, steps out in a tailored Tom Ford suit, and camera flashes erupt like a royal welcome. His Lamborghini Gallardo, powered by a screaming V10, is a wild beast. Simon lets it rip across California highways. Windows down, hair flying, engine roar drowning out the crashing surf. The blazing red Ferrari 458 Italia blazes through the Alps, each curve a symphony of speed, the scent of fresh leather mingling with adrenaline. And his classic Bentley Azure is for weekend relaxation. Sandalwood-scented leather seats, a silver tray cradling Dom Perignon champagne, as Simon reclines, watching sunsets through the windshield. Yachts and vacations, royalty at sea. Simon doesn't simply vacation, he rules the seas. His $450,000 per week super yacht on the French Riviera is a floating palace, 60 meters long, steaming hot tubs, a LED-lit helipad, and gleaming wooden decks where he dances tango under the moon with elite friends. Picture Simon standing on the top deck, white silk shirt flowing, holding a $30,000 wine glass, watching the waves glitter like his diamond-studded crown. His holidays are a symphony of opulence. At 5-star European spas, he spends $25,000 per night on gold-covered suites, pearl-tiled walls, rotating beds that follow the sunlight, and oud oil massages from ancient trees. Breakfast is beluga caviar on golden plates, paired with 24K gold-infused champagne, each sip a declaration of power. Fashion and fine dining, the peak of gentlemanly grace. Simon's fashion is an art form. His Tom Ford suits, $10,000 each, are tailored to perfection, paired with diamond-encrusted Cartier sunglasses. He spends $500,000 a year to ensure he remains the center of every room, walking like a god among mortals. His dining is equally extravagant, $10,000 dinners at Michelin-starred restaurants, beluga caviar piled high, melt-in-your-mouth Wagyu steaks, and $50,000 bottles of Petrus wine poured into crystal glasses etched with his name, flavors of pure dominance soaking into every sense. More luxurious than anyone. What sets Simon apart? It's not just the money, but the way he transforms his wealth into a living kingdom. His mansions are fairy tale castles, his cars are thrones of speed, his yacht a floating empire. From a boy running errands in the rain, Simon now rules like a monarch beyond compare, each moment a luxurious symphony echoing for eternity. Success has never come without struggles, And Simon Cowell is no exception. Standing at the pinnacle of fame, Simon Cowell is not only admired but also frequently at the center of criticism and controversy. From his brutally honest judging style on television to his turbulent personal life, Simon Cowell has always been a polarizing figure. A judging style that walks the fine line between honesty and harshness. From his early days on Pop Idol to American Idol and The X Factor, Simon Cowell stood out for his sharp, unfiltered commentary. On numerous occasions, his blunt remarks left contestants in tears on stage. In 2013, TV Guide dubbed him TV's villain, criticizing his excessively harsh judging style. Many contestants claim to have been emotionally hurt, with some even saying that his words crushed their dreams. But is that the full story? Simon once responded, "I don't intend to be rude, but I believe the truth is the only thing that makes people stronger." Whether loved or hated, there's no denying that his candor helped create a generation of true stars. A turbulent personal life, a scandal that shocked the public. Beyond the spotlight, Simon Cowell's personal life has also drawn intense media attention. The infamous affair. In 2013, Hollywood was rocked by revelations of Simon's affair with Lauren Silverman, the wife of his close friend, Andrew Silverman. The scandal ignited public backlash and led to a highly publicized divorce. Despite the criticism, Simon and Lauren remained together. In 2014, they welcomed their son, Eric Cowell, a symbol of their enduring relationship amid adversity. Exploiting talent, success, or exploitation. As Psycho Entertainment rose to prominence, accusations of exploitation began to surface. Several former X Factor contestants alleged that Psycho took advantage of them for profit, forcing them into unfair contracts and exercising excessive control over their careers. Business ethics under fire, public opinion became divided. Some viewed Simon as a savvy businessman seizing opportunity, while others condemned his company as a money-making machine with little regard for artists' well-being. Other scandals, from lawsuits to unusual accidents. Aside from the major controversies, Simon Cowell has also faced other disputes. Former X Factor contestants like Rebecca Ferguson accused the show of causing severe mental stress and harming their psychological well-being. Little Mix left Psycho in 2018, citing unfair treatment and lack of adequate support. In 2020, Simon suffered a serious accident while testing an electric bike at home. Some sources claimed he had ignored safety guidelines, while others suggested the incident was exaggerated for media attention. Controversial yet influential. Whether criticized or admired, Simon Cowell remains one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry. He doesn't shy away from controversy. In fact, he often turns it into fuel to grow his empire. Perhaps that's what defines Simon Cowell, a man who always plays to win and leads every game he's in. Simon Cowell's luxury lies not just in mansions, supercars, or yachts. Simon Cowell's opulence is not merely reflected in his multi-million-dollar mansions, luxury cars, or extravagant yachts. Beyond indulging in a lavish lifestyle, he is also a shrewd investor and a man of deep compassion. His success is measured not just by his wealth, but also by bold business decisions and meaningful contributions to society. Smart investments, turning passion into a financial empire. Simon Cowell is far from a mere spender. He's a visionary investor. Not only has he built an entertainment empire, but he's also expanded his portfolio into technology and services. Psycho Entertainment. Psycho Entertainment is the empire he built from the ground up, where multi-million-dollar contracts with the likes of One Direction and Leona Lewis were signed on walnut desks, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The company owns the rights to the X Factor and Got Talent, and has signed top artists such as Susan Boyle. Spotify, Uber, Airbnb. Simon didn't miss out on the chance to invest in breakthrough tech companies. He bought shares in Spotify when the platform was still in its infancy and also backed Uber and Airbnb, startups that have now become global giants. Real estate and supercars. In addition to tech, Simon has also grown his wealth through the buying and selling of high-end properties, and by owning investment-grade automobiles. Thanks to his sharp business acumen, Simon Cowell has not only maintained his standing in the entertainment world but has also continuously and sustainably expanded his fortune. Philanthropy. A warm heart behind a tough exterior. Behind the tough and outspoken persona Simon often displays on screen lies a deeply compassionate heart. He devotes a significant portion of his wealth to helping the less fortunate and protecting animals. Helping disadvantaged children. Simon is a major supporter of organizations like Children in Need and Together for Short Lives, offering better living conditions to underprivileged and terminally ill children. Animal welfare. He is a staunch supporter of PETA and the RSPCA, both of which fight for animal rights. After the tragic fire at Manchester Dogs Home, which claimed the lives of hundreds of dogs, Simon sat down and wrote a $1 million check, his eyes lighting up at the thought of the rescued dogs finding new homes. Community support. Simon frequently takes part in charitable campaigns, auctions off personal items, and uses his influence to rally support for humanitarian causes. Having once experienced being underestimated, Simon understands the value of giving others a chance, whether it's a struggling child or a homeless dog. Though known for his bluntness and sharp tongue on television, Simon Cowell is, in essence, someone who's always ready to help those in need. His success is not merely a story of wealth and fame, but a journey marked by responsibility and compassion. The legacy of a legend. From a young mailroom worker to an entertainment mogul, from a man with a taste for luxury to an influential investor and philanthropist, Simon Cowell has etched his name into history. Not only has he reshaped music and television, but he's also left behind a powerful message. From the cold, rainy streets of London, anyone can rise, live luxuriously, and still spread kindness.